Hi, young readers. Today we're going to start Pirates Past Noon. This is book 4 of the Magic Treehouse series, and this is one of my favorite ones, okay? But before we start looking at Pirates Past Noon, I want to remind you guys that in book 1, Jack and Annie, they went to the long time ago, 65 million years ago, and they found a medallion with an M on it, okay? And then in book 2, The Night at Dawn, they found a bookmark. It also had an M on it. And in book 3, Mummies in the Morning, they found an M on the treehouse floor. Okay? And in book 4, will they meet the M person? This person who's kind of been helping them? We'll see. Okay? So get your Pirates Past Noon and let's read. Today we're going to look at chapters 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Dun, dun, dun. Oh, this one starts with lots of rain. Okay, chapter 1. Too late. Too late. Jack stared out his bedroom window. The rain kept falling and falling. The TV said it would stop by noon, said Annie, his 7-year-old sister. It's already past noon, said Jack. But we have to go to the treehouse, said Annie. I have a feeling the M person will be there today. Jack pushed his glasses into place and took a deep breath. He wasn't sure he was ready to meet the M person yet. The mysterious person who had put all the books in the magic treehouse. Come on, said Annie. Jack sighed. Okay, he said. You get your raincoats. You get our raincoats and boots. I'll get the medallion and bookmark. Annie ran to get their rain gear. Jack reached into his drawer. He took out the medallion. It was gold. The letter M was engraved on it. Then he took out the bookmark. It was made of blue leather. It had the same M on it. Both M's matched the M that was on the floor of the treehouse. Jack put the medallion and bookmark into his backpack. Then he threw in his notebook and pencil. Jack liked to take notes about important things. Remember, Jack is kind of like the person who studies. Annie is the person who does things, runs into dangerous situations and stuff, okay? Here, I'll get our rain stuff, called Annie. Jack picked up his pack and went downstairs. Annie was waiting by the back door. She was putting on her boots. Meet you outside, she said. Jack pulled on his raincoat and boots. Then he put on his backpack and joined her. The wind was blowing hard. Ready, set, go, shouted Annie. They kept their heads down and charged into the rainy wind. Soon they were in the Frog Creek woods. Tree branches swayed, flinging rainwater everywhere. Yuck, said Annie. They splashed through puddles until they came to the tallest oak tree in the woods. They looked up. Tucked between 2 branches was the treehouse. It looked dark and lonely against the stormy sky. Hanging from the treehouse was a rope ladder. It was blowing in the wind. Jack thought of all the books up there. He hoped they weren't getting wet. The M person's been there, said Annie. Jack caught his breath. How can you tell, he said. I can feel it, she whispered. She grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed. Inside the treehouse, it was chilly and damp, but the books were dry. They were all neatly stacked along the wall, just the way they had been the day before. Annie picked up a castle book on top of one stack. It had taken them to the time of castles. Remember the knight? She said. Jack nodded. He would never forget the knight who had helped them. Annie put down the castle book. She picked up the next book on the stack. It was the dinosaur book that had taken them to the time of the dinosaurs. Remember? She said. Jack nodded. He'd never forget the pteranodon who had saved them from the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Then Annie held up a book about ancient Egypt. Meow, she said. Jack smiled. The Egypt book had taken them to the time of pyramids. A black cat had come to the rescue there. Somebody's always saving them. And here's the book about home, Annie said. She held up the book with a picture of their hometown in it, Frog Creek, Pennsylvania. Jack smiled again. The Pennsylvania book had brought them back home at the end of each of their adventures. Jack sighed. Okay, he still had two main questions. Who was the M person who had put all the books there? And did the knight, the pteranodon, and the cat all know the M person? Finally, Jack reached into his backpack. He took out the gold medallion and the leather bookmark. He placed them on the floor, right over the spot where the M glowed faintly in the wood. M. Big mystery. Rain blew into the treehouse. Brrr, said Annie. It's not very cozy today. Jack agreed with her. It was wet and cold. Look! Annie pointed to an open book lying in the corner. I don't remember a book being open. Me neither, said Jack. Annie picked up the book. She stared at the picture on the page. Wow, this place looks great. She showed the picture to Jack. He saw a sunny beach, a big green parrot sitting in a palm tree, and a ship sailing on a blue sea. Another gust of rainy wind blew into the treehouse. Annie pointed to the picture. I wish we were there instead of here, she said. Yeah, said Jack. But where is there? Too late, came a squawk. Jack and Annie turned quickly. Sitting on a branch outside the window ledge of the tree house was a green parrot, exactly like the parrot in the picture. Too late, the parrot squawked again. A talking parrot, said Annie. Is your name Polly? Can I call you Polly? Suddenly the wind started to whistle. Oh no, now we're in big trouble, said Jack. The wind blew harder. The leaves shook. The trio started to spin faster and faster and faster. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Jack opened his eyes. Too late, squawked Polly. Squawk. That's how a parrot talks, okay? Chapter 2, The Bright Blue Sea. Jack felt hot sunlight streaming into the treehouse. It's not cold here, okay? He smelled salt water, the ocean. He heard the sound of waves. He and Annie looked out the window. The treehouse was in a palm tree. Beyond was a bright blue sea. A tall sailing ship was on the horizon. It was just like the picture in the book. Too late, squawked Polly. Look, said Annie. Polly was flying in circles above the tree. Oh, too late. Too late for what? Above the treehouse, sorry. Then she swooped down into the ocean. Come on, let's follow her. Let's go in the water, said Annie. She took off her raincoat and dropped it on the floor. Wait, we have to study the book first, said Jack. He started to reach for the book, but Annie grabbed it. You can read it on the beach, she said. Without even looking at the cover, she shoved the book into Jack's backpack. He sighed. Actually, the water did look wonderful. Okay, Jack said. He took off his raincoat too. Come on, Andy. Annie handed Jack his backpack and started down the ladder. Jack folded the raincoat and put it next to the stack of books. He put on his backpack and he went down the ladder. Annie's always first. As soon as Annie hit the sand, she ran toward the ocean. Jack watched her wade into the water. She was still wearing her rain boots. Your boots, Annie, called Jack. She shrugged. They'll dry out, she said. Jack took off his boots and socks. He put them beside his pack. Then he rolled up his jeans and ran across the hot sand into the waves. The water was warm and clear. Jack could see shells and tiny fishes. He shielded his eyes against the sun and peered out at the sea. The tall sailing ship seemed a bit closer. Where's Polly? Said Annie. The parrot. Jack glanced around. No sign of Polly, not in the palm trees, not in the sunlit sand, not over the bright blue sea. Beautiful water. When Jack looked at the sea again, the ship seemed even closer. Now Jack could see its flag. As he stared at the ship's flag, a chill went through him. The flag was black, with a skull and crossbones. "Oh, man," he breathed. He started out of the water. "What's wrong?" said Annie. She splashed after him. Jack ran to his backpack. Annie followed. He grabbed the book from his backpack. He looked at the cover. For the first time, he and Annie read the title of the book. "Yikes," said Annie. "Pirates of the Caribbean." Jack read aloud. This is a pirate boat. Pirates are not very nice. 3 men in a boat. "We've come to the time of pirates," Jack said. "Pirates?" squeaked Annie. "Like in Peter Pan?" Hook in Peter Pan. Jack flipped to the picture that showed the parrot, the sea, and the ship. He read the caption under the picture. 300 years ago, pirates raided Spanish treasure ships in the Caribbean Sea. He grabbed his notebook and pencil from his pack. He wrote, "Pirates in the Caribbean." He turned to the next page. There's a picture of a pirate flag. He read, "The skull and crossbones flag was called the Jolly Roger." Okay, so the name of this flag is Jolly Roger. It has a special name. If you see it, it's not a good thing. "Let's go," said Annie. "Wait," said Jack. "I want to make a drawing of the flag." He propped the pirate book in the sand. He started drawing the Jolly Roger flag. "Don't copy the picture in the book," said Annie. "Look at the real thing." But Jack pushed his glasses into place and kept drawing. "Jack, some pirates are getting into a rowboat," said Annie. Jack kept drawing. "Jack, the boat's leaving the big ship," said Annie. "What?" Jack looked up. "Look!" Annie pointed. Jack looked. He saw the rowboat coming toward the shore. "Run!" said Annie. She started running toward the treehouse. Jack jumped up. His glasses fell off. "Hurry!" Annie called back to him. Jack went down on his knees. He felt for his glasses. Where were they? Where were they? Where were they? Jack saw something glinting in the sand. He reached for it. It was his glasses. He snatched them up. Then he threw his notebook and pencil into his pack. He put the pack on his back. He grabbed his boots and his socks, and he took off running. "Hurry, they're coming!" Annie was at the top of the rope ladder. Jack looked back at the sea. The pirates were closer to the shore. Suddenly, Jack saw the pirate book. In all the confusion, he had forgotten it. It was still propped in the sand. "Oh, man, I forgot the book," he said. He dropped his socks and boots below the tree house. "Come on, Jack!" Annie shouted. "I'll be right back," Jack called. "I've got to get the book." "Jack, forget it!" But Jack was already running toward the water. Here, Jack is doing kind of the dangerous thing, but it's to save a book, which Jack loves. Jack grabbed the book. "Come back!" Annie shouted. Jack shoved the book into his backpack. Suddenly, a giant wave carried the rowboat right onto the beach. "Run, Jack!" shouted Annie. 3 big pirates splashed into the sand. They had knives in their teeth. They had pistols in their belts. They charged toward Jack. "Run, Jack, run!" cried Annie. Does Jack get to the treehouse, or do the pirates get Jack? Okay, we'll look at it in the next video. Bye-bye.